I'm gonna dance by myself like nobody's watching. Don't really care if my rhythm's off, 'cause I'm gonna dance like nobody's watching me. I'm gonna dance by myself like nobody's watching. Don't really care if my rhythm's off, 'cause I'm gonna dance like nobody's watching me.
The presentation this morning, and I am your host Mikey, and today we are going to just have a little stitch social. I'm working on a sample. I've got the video filmed yesterday. I had to film it twice, had a major outtake in it, so I had to refilm everything from scratch. The cat, it's because it's spring, the cat is in and out the whole time, so she sits outside my office door outside, and she meows, and you can hear it in the camera, and it drives me nuts because it makes me feel rushed. And so she was in and out all day yesterday. So she got in the house because I let her in between takes, and then she got inside of a box and then started scratching around in some wrapping paper that was in one of the Amazon boxes, and then it ruined my take completely. So I put her back outside and started refilming from scratch, but then I'm rushed, so people are going to see the video and are going to be like, oh my god, you sound out of breath. That's because the cat made me get off my chair. So I'm currently working on the newest version of Modern Granny with a change of how the corners are done. So anyway, that's kind of what we have here. So it's a rectangle version. It's using Karen Colorama Halo, so it's transitioning on yarn, coloring on its own. So, and I think it's just one ball gets you a blanket, honestly. So let's say some hellos this morning. So we have Linda, we have Ice Cream Kitties, Gordon, you're here all the way from California today, and Susie and Trina. And so yeah, so I'm kind of working on the sample. So I started this last night, and it's a pretty fast project to go. And so I just need this to be a little bit bigger. That's what she said. And so I can take a photograph of it and then actually edit the video. So I don't want to edit the video and put it online without the photograph in the actual video itself. It's one of the downfalls of YouTube. If there's ever a change, you can't just pull it back from YouTube and then just make the change and put it back there without having to change the URL. So I think that would be a neat change, that you could actually replace the video without having to replace the URL. Maybe that's a suggestion for YouTube if they care about such things. Yep. So anyway, so that's what we have going on this morning. So you can let me know some gossip if you got any gossip. And morning, Mikey, or Michael from MDL Crochet, all the way from Amarillo, Texas. Amarillo. So my first time, Michael doesn't know this, but my first time ever driving truck. So I was just sitting in the passenger seat for the first run and went all the way down to Ontario, California. So where I used to live, there was a Duracell company within the small little town. I think it ended up folding in the end. But anyway, the first load was Duracell batteries that went all the way from Ontario, Walkerton, Ontario to California. So Ontario, California. And anyway, so passed through Amarillo, I believe. And it was like one of those things where you realize that the raccoon dead side, you know, the roadkill ends up turning into armadillos, at least somewhere down the path when you're getting down into the mid-USA. So you realize that the roadkill changes the further south that you get. So yeah. So anyway, so that's kind of, that's my memory of, so I've been through Amarillo several times in my trucking career. Actually, I think I had dinner there once too. That's a mid-stop. So Amarillo, am I saying it right? I think I might be. Yeah. So Wendy is joining us. So Wendy and I were chatting. How many hours ago, Wendy? We were chatting on, it was midnight my time last night, just kind of getting caught back up. And yeah, so yeah, so Jennifer is with us, Jennifer Patrick, and Melissa. Good morning to you, Janice and Kim. And I feel like romper room. I need to make a romper room thing. So one of my goals that I have that I would like to make for my office I want to make a hypodermic needle, a big one for my wall out of crochet. So I have a terrible saying, terrible. If something is acting up, just give it the needle, like euthanization. So anyway, so I want to make an amigurumi version, but I think if I make that for my wall, people are going to be like screaming, "Where's the pattern?" I'm like, "Oh my god!" So, but I want to make a big hypodermic for my office wall here somewhere. So we have that going on. So yeah, so Wendy's, Gordon, Wendy's always up just like you. So Susie, Perils of Spring, crocheting hook in the garden. So we're starting to clean up the gardens. When I say we, I mean Daniel. Last night we were moving stuff from the house back to the studio. We call our 3-car garage a studio because it used to be the yarn studio at one point. It's just a storage at this point, and Daniel works out there. So one of the things I am working on, and Karen and I are doing together, is that we're working on. Oh, I have a sample here on my desk. So I have all this work that I bought at a craft show 6 years ago, and anyway, this was a bee, and all the stuff that I bought from the guy. Like, you think about it, 6 years later, this year everything came down and resand and reprimed the whole thing. And so I looked at it and I'm like, I need to make more of these. So I have 2 types of flowers and a bee. And so I looked at the design, and then I went and found designs online. And so I created some templates for all of the different things. So we're going to be having a pattern for sale of these. So you can just go to a printer and print out one of these. So when I say printer, a plotter. So it's going to be 36 inches wide for the paper. And then I think I don't know, I think it's 60 inches long in the length. And anyway, it's going to have all of these in real size. So you could just trace it onto some cardboard or onto your wood, and then you can make these. So in the studio, I created all the different templates that I want. So I'm just going to keep those aside, and I'm just tracing it on another wood and just cutting it out. So Karen and I have a plan, I know, to go into the studio and to start painting. And so I will show you what the sample looks like. You want to see what the sample looks like? So let me show you that. And we're going to share the screen, and we're going to share the window. And so, yeah, here it is. So anyway, this is what it will look like. And so anyway, so I'm making the different samples. So I used to be a car designer at one point. So anyway, so this kind of stuff is not unusual for me. So anyway, so I've got all the samples that you could just trace it out and cut it and put it to your cardboard, and then what the colors were, where to screw it together, and then the screw here. And so it's going to be very folky. And so I worked on this one yesterday. So you just take a bandsaw and cut. So that's kind of what we're kind of working on, what I'm kind of working on during my spare time, if you want to call it that. So yeah. So that's kind of something that I would want to do. So it's taken me several hours to do that. And then we actually have another sample done. I don't know if it's actually going to go up this year. It's been sitting in storage for 3 years, and it's starting to drive me nuts. And let me show you what this looks like. I'll show you what it looks like. So we're selling the template for this because this actually took me a long time. I'll show you something else that we have. So anyway, so somebody earlier this year, because I've learned how to sell patterns online, somebody really wanted the Moongate pattern, which I actually wrote myself 3 years back. And so I'll show you what this looks like in a second. So we'll do a present, and I'll show you this one here. Share a screen. And we have this one. So anyway, so I did this Moongate many moons ago. So just go back here. And anyway, we have this this Moongate. So it's been sitting on a skid here, and let me just see if I can open. So anyway, this Moongate is a total of 8 feet in diameter, and it's 3 layers of Moongate that make this thing up. It stands up. It's unbelievable. I hand carved the stuff into it, sanded. You know, I actually knew how to sand. And so anyway, there's the inspiration is the Chinese Moongate, which Daniel really, really wanted. And so when you get our age, and MDL and Gordon can probably speak to this, you don't really need much because you got everything you possibly need. So anyway, I was thinking about Daniel's birthday 3 years ago, and I'm like, he would probably want something for the garden. So I worked on this. I can cut each one of these pieces. There's a total of 36 different sections of this with a stupid little craft bandsaw, which took me a week. And I don't know how many belts go. So I'm actually, I'm a little bit handy. So I bought a pattern online, and I made this particular pergola that is in front of our house that you may have seen in the photographs. So the pergola was the first thing ever to go into our property before the rest of the main garden went in. And so anyway, this one took me 2 months to do because I got midway through, and the wood that I had bought from the hardware store that looks orange. Anyway, the wood was so shitty that these arches were snapping. And so I kept having to do this. So it ended up costing me a mini fortune to make this thing. And it was just, actually, it was just before COVID dropped. Actually, it was during COVID. It was during COVID. So, you know, the wood was going through the roof. So anyway, so I wrote a pattern for the Moongate. And so the Moongate is just like you see here. It's in pieces. And then there's dowels through each piece that goes right through all 3 pieces. And so I end up taking a piece of wood, like taking this to the lumberyard. So I live in an area where there's actually a forestry lumberyard just around the corner. So the wood's actually pretty cheap. And so anyway, so I laid this out and I took it over, and I said, I just need planks that are this wide. So I used this, and then I cut these out. So this was actually the template people are buying, is right here. So anyway, so I took it to Staples, right? And so they printed my thing in on the plotter so that I actually had a real sample. And then I used this, and I made a plywood piece of the Moongate facing up. And then I put the drill holes in so I could just stamp it into the work, so I could actually drill everything together. And so this particular Moongate template, I still have it after all this time. So I went to our local lumberyard just over the hill. And so anyway, we bought really big pieces. And so this older chap, really fun as hell. He's always there. He's the father. The son has now taken over the lumberyard. Anyway, he cut the wood down so that we could transport it into our truck a lot easier. And so anyway, so once I got it home, I started doing the layers. So everything there was 3 sets of these layers, right? And oh my God, look at all the offcuts. So anyway, I made 3 Moongates here that you'll see. And the problem with is when you use a local lumberyard here, these thicknesses of wood are not always the same. So it's not like it's that prefab crap at like Home Depot, but look at that ad to Home Depot. But they're actually different thicknesses. So that was one of my challenges. I had to be able to kind of do that. So once I had done that, I took a bandsaw and I cut these so that I could have a perfectly round shape like that. So once that was done, I had to label each one of the thicknesses that you had so that I would match it together, because then the Moongate was going to be so much there. And Gordon is admiring how much wood there is. Oh my God. Don't do that to me, Gordon. I know what's happening. So anyway, so I put that together, and then it was raining the day that we did this. And so we put it down on the flat surface in the interior of the garage, and we laid it out. And then I started, when I say we, I mean all my personalities. I started then screwing everything together in layers. So this is after 2 layers were done. Daniel's holding it up. And so 2 layers are done. And then eventually the 3 layers were put together. So you can see all the screws. So you can see that there was gapping spaces in between some of it, which is fine. But because I learned how to dish cut there, I was able to make it really kind of cool. So I could dish cut and just get rid of the excess, any overhangs, just like you see. So then what I decided to do is that I learned through Daniel that you can burn wood, and then the burning of the wood will actually save the wood, right? So anyway, so I took, so what I decided to do is that I hand carved with a dish cutter all the different shapes that are in here. And this is as messy as hell. So I just, you know, randomized it. I made sure I didn't hit any screws when I did it. So I kind of went around screws and just kind of just really heavily dish cut this thing. So that's the dish cutter right there. So I heavily dish cut it, and oh, Gordon likes his wood. So I dish cut the whole thing. It was fabulous. I think I had sawdust in my eyes and my nose, even though I was wearing a mask for like weeks. And so we decided that we were going to get this stupid little canister to burn it. But anyway, this canister only did a little section. So we had to buy like a ton of these things. And I'm like, this is crazy. There's got to be a better way. So we found a flamethrower at Home Depot and attached it to our barbecue tank. And then we burned the hell out of it. So we just did that. So once it's burned, it looks like this. And then you just take a brush and then you brush off the charcoal area. And I did not want to brush off the interior inside the gapping holes, right? And once it was done and brushed off, it looked like this. But then it still wasn't done. I wanted to hit it with some gloss. So anyway, there is 3 layers of high gloss for outdoors on this thing. And so it repels the water. So it rained overnight in this photo. So it repels the water. And so right in our garden, this has been, we have a bridge here now. We had just finished the wisteria English garden here. We had just built the pergola. So it was supposed to go here, but I think Daniel's going to move this to over here based on what he said yesterday. So it was originally going to go through here, and then you would see the garden through there. And then Daniel then spent a summer digging out the pond. So there is a bridge now from here to there that comes over to the gardens. And anyway, so we had to do measurements of how deep his hole was. And he used that stupid little tractor to dig out all of that. And so this hill was never here before. It was him moving the water or moving the soil. And we built the pond. So anyway, so the Moongate is something that I want to get up. We had tried to get it up last year, but it's got to go up before people come and visit us in Nova Scotia this year. So that's kind of what's going on with that. So that's kind of something that was happening behind the scenes. And so anyway, don't call his tractor stupid. Oh, Jesus. Wendy, you've not met his tractor. Oh my God. So anyways, that's kind of what we have. We have Karen is here, my neighbor and friend. She's co-hosting the Nova Scotia trip with me. And she is busy over there working with making the lanyards for the guests for this. So she's hand making everybody's lanyard. I'm not that generous with my time. I would have bought it, but she wanted to be extra special with the guests and give them something, a piece of Nova Scotia to take home with them. So anyway, everybody's getting a handmade lanyard and they look great. Really sensible design too. So if you love it, you have to give her the credit for that. And if you don't, I had nothing to do with it. But no, seriously, I really like it. Came up with the idea that the lanyards are hanging with the name sideways, like you're a piece of luggage. And because of that, the lanyard is not going to be in your way when you crochet. Yeah. So that's what we have. So that's kind of a little bit behind the scenes that happens here. So So anyway, so Daniel is dealing with Quail drama. So he got Quail in the fall, and Dusty Bottoms, the male, almost pecked to death one of the females. So she's been in quarantine medical for like a week and a half. So she's in her own pen out there. And so anyway, so Daniel went out yesterday, and I guess Dusty has been going after another male. So I think we're gonna have to take Dusty and dust off his bottoms with a spanking. I know that'll get the gay men all excited here on this channel. And so I think he needs to build a timeout pen because I think the one that's quarantined and medical out in the studio is too far away. Yeah, it's too far away for the rest of them because I think they might be lonely. So I think they need to build a pen that's with the other group that they can see. So Gordon is signing himself up for Dusty Bottom spankings. I don't know. Look at the kind of people I attract here on the channel. It's nuts. But I wouldn't have it any other way. Yeah. So anyway, so I'm kind of working on this stuff this morning. I did a little bit of redecorations yesterday. So I just kind of cleaned up my room, my bedroom and stuff, and moved some artwork around. Daniel and I had visited a studio once in Prince Edward Island. It's since gone out of business, but we walked in there and they said, well, please tell me, like, you rotate your art around the house. And I'm like, oh, absolutely. And I'm like, shit, once that thing goes on the wall, it stays there until I'm dead. I don't rotate my art, but I did last night. But anyway, so it's kind of one of those things. Yeah. Yep. So we put 30 eggs in the incubator last night, hoping for some baby chickens in April. Quail are so delicate compared to the quail are delicate, and but he wants them. He really wants ducks again. The ducks kind of got killed off by the raccoons here, and we did not have a safety area for the ducks too because they roamed everywhere, and so we did not have a pen for those things. But the raccoons end up snuffing them out. So just was not a great thing. So Daniel kind of misses the ducks. So we had Lord Quackington and his harem here on the property. Yeah. So anyway, so that's kind of what's going on around here. Anything else going on around here? Not much. I have to film week 3 of this stitch along. That's been going good so far as I know. Yeah. So anything else? So who's got gossip this morning? Give me some gossip. So tomorrow is Loose Ends with Mikey, tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern. I don't know who the guest is. So Rebecca had issues with turkeys with the raccoons. I didn't know raccoons did that. That was a surprise. And Cheryl is having a good day and running off. But the geese, so Daniel really wants a certain type of geese here on the property. I forget what they, oh no, he wants swans. Swans. Yep. The day he gets swans is going to be the day I buy my first purse because I'm going to be swinging that thing with the swans. Oh my God. I've never had good encounters with swans. Yeah. Yeah. Swans are mean. The swans are bitches. Oh my God. The thing will block you. You're at the park and they'll like hiss at you and stuff. And you're just like, yeah. So maybe it's got to be like the movie, The Signs. I forget who the main actors were in that one. The Signs with the alien movie. Swing away. Just have to grab my bait. I think you just have to hit them once with a bat, and then the rest of them will come in line pretty quickly. Yeah. Yeah. So Wendy says the swan is her spirit animal. Oh, totally is. Yeah. And I think if we ever got swans, they would have to have some really terrible names, like nasty ass, something like that. I can see myself doing that. I could actually see Daniel calling the one an F with that word at the end. But anyway, that's kind of what he wants, but I don't think he's going to have it. So there is a breeder up in Quebec that does specialty menagerie of birds like that, swans and geese and ducks and quail and a whole whack of other things, peacocks I think as well. So anyway, so that's what they do. So he's been in touch with them, but I'm like, please lose touch with them because we don't need anything more to feed around this place. Yeah. We named our geese after the characters of NCIS. So give me an example of the name NCIS. I know that's a TV show. So Ida says the swan is their spirit animal too. Goose egg feed my family of 6. Yeah. So we have Ziva and Gibbs. Jethro. How do you crochet without a pattern or looking at the hook? Because the hook matches the yarn thickness, and you use your fingertips to tell you where to stick your hook. Just ask Gordon. He always knows where to put his hook. So he puts his fingers behind the hole first, like I do, and then you just shove in the hook. So anyway, it's advice I got from Phyllis, the yarn lady. She's dead now, but so she told, because I couldn't do that, and she goes, if the hook doesn't match the yarn or the hook is not great for your hands, you're not going to be able to look away. So she said your goal is to find the hook that matches you. And so my secret is that I need to have a longer than normal hook. So my hooks are a little bit longer, so when I hold it, it's on the outside of my palm here. The other hooks that are smaller, they dig into the palm, and then I get a callus. So it was a matter of just finding the right hook. And so these are just generic Amazon Canada hooks. Yeah. So I like a close-up for that. So the hook is outside of my hand because I got man hands. And anyway, so I don't get a callus with the short one because I used to always get a callus here when the hooks are too short. And I don't have any short hooks on my desk, which is a good thing. So anyway, I need the hook to be the size of my palm and just a little bit bigger. And so if I did pencil method, it probably wouldn't matter, but I've never been able to do that. So I'm a knife gripper like that. Yeah. So this is a new pattern coming out as soon as I get the sample done. This is a reimagined modern granny stitch. And so anyway, so I reimagined the square right here. And so people are saying, well, can you do the idea with rectangle? And I'm like, yeah, you can. So I'm making the rectangle version of the new design. So yeah. So anyway, so these are just generics, but I've been told that Hobby Lobby in the United States, they have the same maker that is doing it, and these are Hobby Lobby home brand, but the same manufacturer does other hooks for other people. And so this is just a generic, and I think a set is like $16 Canadian. So that would be about $12 American for a whole set of these things. So I have like 20 packages of these things, and the rest of them are in the yarn room. But anyway, so I seem to lose hooks, and yet I go nowhere. So you get a whole set of these for cheap. Yeah. Okay, So anyway, that's kind of what we have. So we have Tina Farley with a question. Mike, you have a question about a stitch I have never heard, but it said in a crochet video that they were watching it. They called it a lock stitch. It kind of looks like a treble, but somehow different, but it wasn't in any of your videos. What is a, have you Googled that? So I'm going to Google that, or DuckDuckGo it. Crochet locked stitch. Let's see what comes up. I've never heard of that. Tutorial locked loop stitch. That's not the same thing. I know what the locked loop stitch is. Mosaic locked double crochet. In one method of your double crochet is to avoid the flap on the back of the overlay. No. Locked. You said that you said it looked like a treble. I'm going to assume that you're American, so treble would be like a treble that I would know it. So treble in UK would be a double crochet. A locked up loops. I assume you're not doing loops. Locking mattress stitch for crochet fabric. I don't know. I don't know what that is. So I did first page, but nobody ever goes beyond first page of Google or DuckDuckGo. So I will go to page 2 because I'm desperate. Locked up. That's not a, you didn't say it was a loop. It's quite possible the crocheters just coming up with their own term too. I'm wondering if you mean interlocking. But I don't really know. So there is that. Marie has wilder trumpeter swans on her dig out right now. They're migrating to the trumpeter swans just pass right on through, don't they? Chat GPT, the locked stitch. I don't usually use Chat GPT anymore. I use Google Gemini, but let me just take a look. Google Gemini is the AI equivalent of Chat GPT. What is the locked crochet stitch? I'm asking Chat GPT just because you said so. It's still thinking. No result. Okay, let's go to Google Gemini. Gemini is what I've been using. Google Gemini. I'll ask Gemini, what is the crochet locked stitch? So the term crochet lock stitch can refer to different techniques in crochet, all aimed at creating more secure or stable fabric or element. The technique is used when creating loop stitches. Okay, I knew that. The basic loop can sometimes be insecure. That's fine. The lock loop stitch involves twisting. Yes, I know that. The locking stitch is in mosaic crochet and is sometimes called negative stitch. Might be learning something today. So locked crochet stitch and what's it called? Negative stitch. I never heard of that either. Negative stitch. In overlay mosaic, double crochet stitches are often dropped down several rows, skipping the single crochet stitches in between. This can create loose flaps. Oh my God. Michael and Gordon don't even go there. On the wrong side of the work. The locking stitch in this context refers to a technique to secure those skipped single crochet stitches on the back of the double crochet, preventing the flaps and creating a neater, sometimes reversible fabric. The benefit creates a flatter wrong side and can make the mosaic crochet more stable and less prone to snagging. How it is done: there are a few variations, but often involves inserting a hook into the back loop of double crochets in the current row, and then also into the back loop of the skipped single crochet in the row below, and then working a stitch that usually is that. Okay, so locked double crochet for overlay mosaic. This is another method for overlay mosaic. It involves modified double crochet where completing the first part of the double crochet and the hook is inserted into the back loop of the skip stitch, and then the yarn is pulled through the loops, effectively locking the stitches together. The benefits are similar to the previous point. It helps create a flatter. The locked loop, okay, we don't want loops. The locking mattress stitch. I've never heard of that. A locking mattress stitch. Is it even appropriate for a gay guy to even mention mattress? Like, seriously. But we'll go with it. Okay, this is a method of joining two pieces of crochet fabric together with an invisible seam. It defers to the traditional mattress stitch by bringing the needle through the obviously work stitches and lock the seam in place. The benefits is, oh, the locking mattress stitch, that's the invisible stitch. But I could just redo the video and call it the locking mattress stitch, and I have a new video. It's the same thing. So the locking mattress stitch is bringing the needle back through the previously worked stitch and lock them in place. By bringing the needle back through the previously worked stitch to lock the seam in place. Maybe that's not the invisible then. Locking mattress stitch. We'll have to look that up. It differs by bringing the needle back through the previously worked stitch to lock the seam in place. I don't know what that means. Yeah, I'm Gordon. That's exactly what it means. Yeah. So anyway, so Robin is joining us this morning. Robin, I know Robin as Batman and Robin. Her sidekick that she travels with is Batman. So anyway, I tend to nickname people when I meet them, so it makes them easier to remember. So Batman and Robin are always together. Usually, I think for the most part that I've seen them. Yeah, and they're both double trouble, just so you know. Mm-hmm. It's like my friend Carol Taylor. She came with two other women, I think, the first time I met her. And anyway, so one of her friends, I just couldn't get her friend into my brain, so I called her Leanne Rhymes because her name was Leanne. And so I called her Leanne Rhymes Sound of Music. So I could nickname her so when I see her, yeah. You had a nickname for my aunt. Oh my God. I know. Maitland. Yeah. Michelle Hirsch is Emma Hirsch. That's Michelle. Her aunt showed up at my house with her lunch on the back of a motorcycle. I'm here for lunch. This is like when we first moved to here. And I'm like, okay, who are you? Yeah. So we have Dana's Wanderlust here is joining us today. And anyway, so Michelle's aunt is from Maitland, Nova Scotia. Maitland. Anyway. But don't even ask Michelle about doing waves or granny waves or anything, because that's a lost cause. And don't say I'm not wrong. Mm-hmm. So Kim is at work too. It's sneaking in a little one-on-one time. Oh my God, I'm doing the wrong stitch. Way to go. See, this is what happens when I put down my work. Yeah, so true. You still can't do a wave. Oh my God. I think there's special institutions for people like you, Michelle. But at least you're fun. We'll give you that. I can't wait for the pattern. I need some inspirations. So hubby is awake, so he's sneaking time in with him and you. Oh my God, Michael, you're just making me walk through that green door. Yeah, I'm doing good. No issues with me today. Just working along and doing my own thing. And yeah, so I'm ready for, so spring here in Nova Scotia is very long. It's very long and drawn out. And so the weather really doesn't get really nice until much later in spring. But you can have really good days and then really awful days. It's going to snow here tomorrow. So you're in that tease of a season. It's like Michael when he goes to the yarn shop and he does mustache teases with yarn to determine if he loves it. It's kind of like that kind of element where you go outside, you put your nose in the air, and it's like, oh, it's nice now, but give it 30 minutes. Will it be nice? And the interesting thing about Nova Scotia, not that anybody cares, but back at home, the peak temperature in a summer's day is around 2 o'clock, but here it is 4 o'clock. So it's much later in the day. So Daniel always likes to school me every year, by the way. Yeah. So Bonnie, thank you so much for the super sticker, the $4.99 there. I appreciate that. It's like PI. We have Splinter. It's not really spring, but it's the winter. It just is a very long, but I love the fall. The fall, I would take the fall over any day. So we don't really get a really good super weather until about July here. So it's a little delayed. So it's one of the reasons why we delayed our Nova Scotia trips to be in the summertime. We could have been cheaper by going in spring, or definitely not the fall. The fall is the definite time to travel here, but that is peak here because of the leaves and the weather. It's phenomenal here in fall. So anyways, so we delayed not to come in spring, even though it would have been cheaper, because there's no point coming here if you're chilly. And you really want to see all the festivals. So every weekend there's a festival here, there, everywhere. There's always something going on here. It's a very the area is very vibrant, and there's always something to do in the summer. So I live in the tourist kind of region in the wine country here in Nova Scotia. So there's always something going on. Do you get a lot of leaf peepers like we do in New England? Leaf peepers. I don't. What is a leaf peeper? What is a leaf peeper? A leaf peeper is a person who visits. Yes, we do. Leaf peepers, we do. Yeah, that is referring to people that come and visit to see the leaves. Yes, we do. Totally. And that's what makes fall very expensive here. It's stunning here. Yeah. He gets peeping Tom. I don't have any peeping Toms. Nice try. They're peepers, but their name, Gordon, they're peeping, but their name is not Tom. It's more like Tabitha or Becky. So anyway, so it's kind of funny. So the locals, when it's snowing here, because it can snow here in June too. And if you're like, it's snowing, I'm like, you're Canadian. This is not new. It sucks, but it's not new. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So peeper, Susie, I was thinking the same thing of you with the peeper frogs. Do you remember the stupid frogs back at home? Back in Ontario with the frogs. So Daniel had a pond just outside our bedroom, and we had the Ontario frog. I think it was. I actually think there's a video on that somewhere. I think it's probably on my Facebook. Let me just see. Frog. Anyway, these frogs, the peepers were horrible because they were outside the bedroom. But Michael's like, a frog. Okay, there's a video from me, April 17th, 2016. The peepers are starting to drive him crazy. Oh, there's puppy dog riding Salty. Oh my god, puppy dog's actually skinny there. Okay, there's the ducks. But anyway, if you've ever heard the Ontario frog, holy shit. Those things are screamers. Screamers. I think they take in a big breath of air and then they let it go so slowly and they scream for like a minute or two. Yeah. So, and then the peepers, oh my god, peeper frogs. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of a peeper frog, but look it up. These things peep, peep, and when you get a whole pond of them, we'll probably have peeper frogs here because of the pond soon, I would assume. We do have frogs that came and migrated into the ponds last year on their own. So we had a whack of frogs last year. So it's a matter of time before we get the peeper frogs. But I kind of like the sound of the peeper frog. It's kind of nice. It's kind of soothing, but not outside your bedroom at nighttime. But the damn Ontario frog is a screamer. Yeah. So those frogs are just mimicking the bedrooms. Oh my god, you guys are on a roll this morning. Holy cow. So yeah, so Karen doesn't like loud frogs apparently. Yep. Jesus. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. What is the tannish blanket behind the tan? That is the Modern Granny. I just released that last week. It's the Modern Granny. It's the new version. You'll find that over on our website, Tina, if you're looking for that. It's one of the latest patterns up. And it's also the home banner of our Facebook page right now, the actual Crochet Crowd page. There's a link there for that as well. So anyway, that was using Red Heart Bitty stripes. In the color called Rainbow Mist. So get this. So I decide I'm gonna post about this. So it's linked right to my website. And anyway, so somebody says it would be nice if you would share the colors, and I'm like, oh my god, just click the damn link. So anyway, so then Wendy's like, oh my god, I have to go in there and say click the link. But there's only so much detail that you can share on a social post before people can actually investigate what they can find on their own. So anyway, so that's kind of, you know. That's right. So anyway, so we got that going on. So making on the second rage of loving the pattern. Yeah. So you know the origin of the rage, right? The rage, somebody really pissed me off a lot. And so I took 2 days off work and designed and crocheted that sucker because I was so mad. I was angry as hell. And anyway, so it ends up becoming a nice design. I think when I'm angry, I actually design better. So, and it's like Daniel, actually, when Daniel's mad, he actually is more creative in the garden. There's something about, like, anger is an anger, but there's actually probably benefits to being angry as well. It kind of just fires off a different brain cell activity, if you have a brain, of course. So anyway, so that blanket, somebody really upset me a lot. And so I just crocheted like angry. And I think I said F this, I don't know how many times. I'm going to throw this stitch in, F this. I don't care if she doesn't like it, F this. Yeah, anyway, loved it. It was a great blanket. So Wendy's commenting that the rage makes her laugh because people don't want to do it because of the name. But if they read the article, it isn't because it's bad. You put it, right? It is to put aside. It's to channel the anger, right? Never angry crochet. I'm the best. When I'm pissed, the crochet turns out to be so fabulous. I don't like that emotion, but sometimes you can't avoid it. Especially when you work in social media. I had some genius last night. Oh my God. I was like, oh. Yeah. So that's a great cup. It's a big boy. Yeah. So, oh, the gray cup, the Stop Making Sense cup. Yeah. Wendy has a terrible ability of making sense when it seems like she's preaching to the choir, or like, stop making sense. Michael, it's some genius with a J. Go pet your dogs if angry. Yeah, you could do that. Or you could crochet too. Sometimes it's your dogs that make you angry. Yeah, so Lady Crochet is here today, and Elizabeth, and we are just stitching and socializing today. And just kind of working my way through stuff. So Yarn Inspirations is still working on their backlog of shipping because apparently people went nuts in orders for Yarn Inspirations' latest sale. And they have their packing teams are now 24/7 of their online warehouse now. That was never a thing. And so I originally, it used to be like the packing crew were there for day shift during weekday only, but now it's 24/7, 7 days a week. Because the online ordering is where the future is going to go, and based on the results. So when they say they're backlogged for up to 15 days, you got to think how much backlog that is if it's 24/7 crew packing and shipping boxes. Yeah. So anyway, so I bought these on the last sale. I bought the Karen Colorama Halo, and I think one ball of these is going to do one blanket. So when I was at Yarn Inspirations a year or so ago, they showed me these, and I'm like, wow, that's a big ball. So I finally bought. I think the ball is like $35, but it's like one blanket's 35. That's Canadian dollars. Let me just, before I open my mouth like that, let me make sure. See how much this ball is. I got it on sale because they had that big ass 40% off sale. Yeah. Let me just take a look. I got your message, Wendy. Colorama. So this here is a big ball. It is the biggest ball of them all. It is 500 grams, so 17.6 ounces. am I shipping to Canada? Okay, so Canadian price for this ball without a sale is $31, so $30.99. Let me go to the US side and see how much that is. So, you know, I like sales. So things were like 40% off, right? And so in the US side, it's $24.49 American dollars for a big ball like that. That's like a whole blanket for 25 bucks. Yeah. So anyway. So Yarn Inspirations is working hard to get the backlog going. The orders were a lot bigger per customer than they normally are, and really caught them by surprise, to be honest. And a little side secret is that they actually ended the sale early because the warehouse was so backlogged. So the sale was supposed to go on longer, but they closed it down early to give the warehouse time to get recouped and back up on its feet again, because it was just crazy. Yeah. How many feet are in that big ball? I don't know how many feet it is. I can tell you the yardage though. The yardage is 1,059 yards, and in Canadian that's 968 meters. So I don't know how many feet that is. So anyway, so that's kind of, yeah. So I got my course is 10 days. So hopefully people are patient. I know when it comes to yarn, I remember during COVID though, my shipment was like a month. Do you remember that? During COVID. So, and it wasn't because of the warehouse. That was because of everything was closed down. It was just a mess. Canada Post wasn't even working, if you recall. The postal service stopped. So anyway, that's kind of what's happening with that. So they're giving their warehouse time and the crew. And the thing about it, the warehouse, is that it's massive. It's like a Costco. Okay, but you can't, as a public, go in there. And so somebody can order one ball of this and one ball of that, and they're on completely different opposite sides of the warehouse. And so the runner, I say runner, but they're not running, but they're walking, is that they will have to pick the ball on the one side of the warehouse and then walk all the way to the other side and do it, and to pick the other ball that they want. So when people mix their orders like that, it becomes very time consuming per order. It's not like Amazon where they have machines that would bring the product to the person and then pack it in a box. It's not like that at all. Maybe one day it will be, but not right now. It's not. So their orders were very mixed. Does anybody remember when the Spin Rate Factory outlet had its warehouse? Remember when you could do that? And so whenever they put stuff on sale, they would move all the skids of that special yarn to the front where the crew packs the boxes and gets everything ready. So it saved them from having to walk through the warehouse because they moved all the sale yarn to the front. So they could just turn around and just grab it out of the box and put it in. When the whole website is on sale, everything is, it's a running situation. So I think the 1,000 yards is a good size baby blanket. I think it might be too big for a baby blanket. Yeah. So anyway, so they could have continued to take orders and really pound the crew really hard, but they decided to close down the sale early to give the warehouse a bit of relief because the printer was going nuts, apparently. But I don't know what the volume is. I'm not in that need to know basis. I just been told that they just got walloped on both the Canadian and the American side. Yeah. Yeah. So, and the other secret that you can do, so here's another little secret. I know I'm just spilling the beans today. So certain yarns are always sold in groups, right? So for example, Red Heart Super Saver is in what is called as a retail bag. And so the retailers get a prepackaged bag that has 3 balls inside the plastic. And anyway, those 3 balls were made at the exact same time and they're packaged together. And so what I like to do is that when I place an order for Yarn Inspirations, because I know Red Heart Super Saver is in a retail pack of 3, I always order in multiples of 3. So what happens is that the warehouse person comes along, just grabs a bag out of the case and throws it into my box. And so they never have to open a bag, because that's why sometimes you get here, let me show you an example of that. This is an example of something like that. So this is on clearance, Red Heart, or sorry, Bernat Wave. I knew that there's in packages of 3. So this is a retail pack. So this is what the retailers get. So the retailers open this up and throw them on the shelf one by one. But because I know that they packaged it in a retail of 3, I always order by 3s, right? So then the warehouse staff will come in and grab this out of the box and throw it into my own. So there's a difference of when you see it come like this versus the individual ball, because if there's 3 and there's like 2 loose balls in the case, they're not going to just open a bag and pull out a loose ball of one of these. They're just going to grab one of this because it's just faster. So Karen 1 pound is always sold in groups of 2. A lot of the Red Heart is in groups of 3. Bernat blanket is in groups of 2. So, and Peyton's is using groups of 6. And so anyway, at the time of manufacture, it's packaged and kept into the retail pack. So what it does for me, and this is not a guarantee, is that every ball inside that was in the same die lot because it was made at the same time. So yeah. So anyway, so it makes the shipping faster if you order like that, versus if I just got 2 of that and then I got something, one of this, and I just grab 3s and then throws in the bag and throws in my box and goes. Yeah. So that's kind of what we have. So I think it would be helpful for customers to know that. So if you recall, Michael's in the US still does that. So Michael's, remember when Karen Cakes came out, Michael's was selling them in bags of 3. That's because they were packaged in bags of 3. So they weren't selling the balls individually online. They were selling it only by the bag so that their warehouse staff wouldn't have to open up bags. And so that's why they were doing that. So it prevents like loose balls from ending up in the warehouse that are inside a case. So, but it's never a guarantee that you're going to get the same die lot, but it's almost pretty consistently. Yeah. Does any Karen has a group colorway? I'm not sure it does. Just go on to yarnspirations.com. Just go look at Karen Cakes and look at their color lineup. Does it make a better sale? I don't know. They still sell the ball individually. It just makes it easier for you as a customer to do that, right? So anyway, so the groups are usually, I think Bernat Baby Blanket is individual, but Bernat Blanket is in 2s. Bernat itself is using groups of 3. Red Heart is using groups of 3. Peyton's is in groups of 6. Anyway, this is just something that you should know. So Terry, I actually, when ordering, I wish it would say how many bags are in a bag like that. I have pitched that idea last month. I think if the customer knew that they're in pre-packaged bags like that, they would probably order by the bag, right? Because I totally do that. This Colorama here, because of the size of the ball, was only in 1 bag. They were sold by the bag. or just one bag has one because they're so big. So I think it depends on the size of the ball too, and the retail price. So that is $30 Canadian a ball, and then US it's 24.50, something like that. Yeah. So anyway, that's something that I have pitched. We'll see how it goes. Like any company, change takes time. Yeah. So because I know this information, I thought about in the yarn reviews on the Crochet Crowd website is to make a list of like knowing what's in the bags, like how it's sold, because then you would probably order 3 if you knew that all 3 were the same day dye lot or pretty close to it. It's not a guarantee, but it's pretty close because it's done at the same time of manufacture. Yeah, so we have the UK in the house. Kimberly, I think I know your name. I think it's yeah. So anyway, it's just silly little things like that. Karen Simply Soft is in bags of 2. Yeah, Bernat Symphony I think is in bags of 2. I think it depends on the size of the ball, to be honest. Yeah, Simply Soft is a 3-pack. So when you're getting your yarn and it's shipped to you and you see it already bagged in groups, you know that that brand is actually sold to the retailers in a group of like that. It might help you change. It might actually change the way that you order online. So how wide is the? So I started last night, so I don't know how far I'm gonna go, but I think I'm going to actually crochet the whole ball and see where it goes first, because I'm now that curious. We're not blank home deck is in bags of 2. Yes, it is. There's a list somewhere, but I would have to ask for the list. But I don't know if Yarn Inspirations wants that list out. I don't know. But I think online ordering is where it's going to go. I think just based on what we have. We have Nat in the house this morning. A Manitowok. I know that name, Manitowok. Why do I know Manitowok? Manitowok. When I see Manitowok, I'm thinking of a water tower. Wasn't that in a documentary? Something about a Manitowok. I think it was something about a junkyard with a car. Manitowok. Yeah. Anyway, so Shelly is just lurking today, and yeah. So WD North Ontario is in the house. Do you have any influence of product line? I have absolutely no influence at all. I am not on the research thing, and I have no input. And honestly, I don't, Cheryl, I really don't want input. I have suggested ideas as far as names, but it never takes on. And honestly, I think honestly, I don't know if I'd want that responsibility for creating a yarn brand, because if it doesn't go, then I would feel personally responsible. So you can contact Yarn Inspirations if a wrong order by just going onto their website bottom and it says contact. Just go on there and just fill in the form. Because of the size of the sale that they're currently working on, they are backlogged. So just give them some time to get back to you. Yeah. So do you have to create something with each new yarn? No, I don't. Yeah. Happy Wednesday to everybody. I'm just currently just making a sample because I need a good photograph for that. Can you put a list that's showing the best ways to buy online? Like you said, one brand states the 3, so on, since Joann is closed in my town. You know what? Let me just write that down. List the best ways to buy yarn online. You can also buy Yarnspirations. Yarnspirations is actually is on Amazon as well, just so you know. So you can either go through yarnspirations.com or you can go through Yarnspirations through Amazon as well. So, and I believe, let me just take a look. I believe that they just went online in the last year for Amazon Canada. Let me just take a look. So it's been on they've been on Amazon for years in the US. There are people that sell Yarnspirations brands, but oh yes, they are. So they do have the Red Heart store in Canada, like they do in the United States. And so remember what I just talked about? They're selling it by the groups of 3. So they're selling it by the retail pack on Amazon, right? So, so that's a good way to do that as well. So they're selling it in groups of 3, so they could just grab it by the bag I just showed you. So that's convenient, right? So, ooh, and it's like, yeah. So you get 3 balls because it's one of those packages. Oh my God, there's something here that I want. Screenshot. Actually, you know what? They're having everything in groups. So they're obviously selling it by the retail pack on Amazon. So unlike Yarnspirations where you can buy ball by ball. So Red Heart Super Saver Jumbo is probably sold in bags of 2. Oh. So the Bernat Softy Chunky is in bags of 3. So there's 3. And then the Bernat Handicrafter Cotton is obviously in a bag of 6. I think this is going to be the easiest way for me to find this information. Forever Fleece is sold in bags of 2. Softy Cotton is in bags of 3. Bernat Blanket Dappled is in bags of 2. Right there. Bags of 3 or bags of 6. Anyway, that's kind of, I think that would be the easiest way to do that. So what I do, and this is, I know it's going to sound biased that I do this, but if I'm not sure of a yarn, if I'm already placing a yarn order, I'll like buy a ball of something and of something else just to take a look at it. And if I don't love it, I can just gift it to somebody, but chances are I'll like it enough to keep it in my own collection. So right now it's been on the floor for like probably 3 or 4 weeks. I bought 1 ball of Bernat Patchwork. It's the only color I have of this ball. So I bought it just to take a look at it. And then, just because I need yarn like I need a hole in the head. Yeah. So Krista says, do not order yarn off of Amazon. And I'm not sure if there's a reason for that. But anyway, so Yarnspirations is on Amazon as well. And I think based on what happened with Joann, I think a lot of yarn is going to move online for sales because the limited opportunity to buy yarn. And the problem is that some people have thought, well, you know, you can open up a little yarn shop or whatever. I tried that. I will not do that. Yeah. Okay, I understand, Wendy. But you know, in my little yarn shop that I have, I never had the right color, and I never had the right quantity, and I never had the right materials in the yarn. And it got to the point where I'm like, just go order online. And then people really want the yarn immediately. But on the second side of it is that if you don't have the actual brand they want, then you basically are wasting your own hydro or your power of your own store by being open. And so I found that to be very frustrating. So I've been seeing videos of people like having their last moments at Joann. It is incredibly sad. Here in Canada, we've never had Joann, so we haven't felt the effect of losing Joann. And they tried shipping north of the border, but people weren't interested. So they tried that twice and it just didn't work. Canadians shop in a very different way than the Americans do. We're very different culturally in the way that we shop. So Kim has ordered from Yarn Inspirations on March 3rd. Yeah, there's warehouses backed up, but you can always email them, Kim, and to see if you can get a status update on your order. And just go on the bottom of their website, and they're severely backed up on their orders. If you're wanting to know that, they're usually not that long. It's just their latest sale was so good that people went nuts and bought a lot of yarn. I did email them. Thank you for making sure that we know that. Yeah. They won't send the same lots from Yarn Inspirations. That's true. That's why I'm suggesting to order by the bags. Yeah. Is it easier to get yarn in Canada? I don't know. Krista, is it easier to get yarn in Canada? You order online like everybody else does. There's a lot of American product that we cannot order up here because of the border. And it's not a recent thing. It's always been that way. So they had this really cool product in the US that I actually had a friend buy it and then ship me north of the border years ago. It was some kind of techno gizmo. And it was so good that I don't even remember what it was. But I really wanted it. And so I'm like, so there's certain things that the US makes that cannot come across the border for whatever reason. They don't ship across the border. So I think as a Canadian, you've gotten like we're used to it, right? The bags have the same dye lot. Yes, pretty much. But it's not a guarantee, but that's to be my experience. Yeah. Yeah. So Shirley, they are seriously backed up. You know those actually I have one. These balls here, they sold out in 4 hours. 4 hours for these. So they had us do like a introduction video to the product. They had us hey, and anyway, it went online and sold everything out in 4 hours. 4 hours. So people were, I guess, were just, and there was a 40% off sale. So you think about all of those orders just for those balls, and that's just one product. So there's a lot of, it's a lot of backlog. But anyway, I'm sorry that you're going through all that. It's, their sale caught them by surprise. Like, you just never know, because some of the sales that they do, it's okay. You know, some sales you don't write home about, but this sale just kicked their butt. I think it might be depending on the time of year too. So last November, that would have probably been last November. That would have been the Black Friday sale. Yeah. Yeah. So they were so appreciate that they notified. They were supposed to do that. They were going to notify customers that their orders were delayed. Yeah. Is the Crochet Crowd part of Yarn Inspirations? No, we're not. I wanted to be at one point, like maybe 10 years ago, but no, we're a completely different company. They sponsor the videos for me, so I'm allowed to be objective and to speak as my own voice because I'm on my own. But they just help pay for the party for stuff that I don't have to ask you to pay for. And not all the yarn is, people think all the yarn is free and stuff, but it's not. Yeah, so got MG in the house today. Yeah. So you end up getting 4 of those big balls. You better sell it for double the price there, NASA. Yeah. So anyway, so there, that's actually a really good. Judy is bringing up a really good point. Like the sale is so good that people jumped on it, but then the flip side of it is that you got to wait longer because other people realize that the sale was that good. It's a catch-22, right? So people were panic buying. So for people that went to the Joann stores, what was that experience like walking into a store that's getting emptied? Like that must be really something. Um, the company that I worked for in my teenage years, I started working when I was 13 years of age, and I've been working ever since. Anyway, so the company that I worked for ends up going 2 years in. They end up filing for receivership, which is not bankruptcy, but it's being reorganized. And anyway, so I'm like, okay, well, whatever. And anyway, this job paid for 2 years of college for me, and it bought me a brand new car with cash. It was a great job. And anyway, it was just, and I was making $4 an hour, like Canadian. So that's, I don't know what that is in American. It's like $3 and it might be $2 and change. And anyway, so this paid for that. But the company, in year 3 of me working there, was skidding into bankruptcy. And so they would put out a flyer into people's mailboxes in the town, come and get the sale, but we never had the products because the supplier stopped shipping. And so they were putting out these flyers, and so people are walking in just pissed off that anything that was advertised is not actually there, which was true. And any information that we knew from these companies or from the company itself, we would get from our manager. Our manager was scared too. And so the difference between now and then from the 90s is that social media is now in place. So there's people in real time making suggestions on what they think is happening. And then those suggestions end up becoming the truth in some people's eyes. Where back in the 90s, we didn't have that. So you only knew what the manager was able to share with you. And so when Joann filed this time, I realized that I got to keep my mouth shut and stay out of it because I really don't know what's going on. And because of that, and the real-time social media, like there's literally 20,000 employees where their lives are going to be upended. And I just didn't want to be the fear factor to create clickbaits content for that particular sale or for their particular situation. And I just felt it was very irresponsible because I honestly didn't know anything other than hearsay from other people that are not necessarily in the know. So anyway, so it's been really sad to watch. I have friends that do work at Joann that are phasing out, and just watching that as well. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, so that's kind of. I did not want to take advantage of people being run out of work for the advantage of content monetization for us. I just didn't feel that was appropriate. Yeah. So, and you think about the retail experience, a lot of the people that are in the store itself have no factor or necessarily the responsibility for what's going on because it's above their pay grade. Yeah. So anyway, so that's kind of what they had going on. So Michael from MDL says, it's not my place to reiterate to employees that are about to lose their jobs. Yeah, I felt really strongly about that, but I think it might be my age, Michael, where I'm 50 years old, 51. And it's like, I know the outcome is going to be, and the full-time employees at the job when I was a teenager were scared as hell. They didn't know where they were going to work, and they were really, truly upset. And if social media was in play back in the 90s like that, I think honestly, from what I saw with the fear of the full-time employee, they would be far worse mentally than they were. And so so I just didn't want to be responsible for that. So this is the modern granny stitch with a change. So this is a rectangle version. So I just started this, and this is phasing out with the coloring. So you see how the coloring is just changing. So it's doing it on its own with Karen Colorama Halo. And I think it's just going to be one bolt to do a big blanket, honestly. So Krista, Michael, you, and Panda are youngins. Yeah. So anyway, so I filmed yesterday. As I was mentioning at the beginning of the broadcast, I had to refilm this twice because my cat was driving me nuts. I actually think the video actually, I think I have that on video. I don't know if I'm allowed to share that. The cat was driving me nuts. So I had to restart from scratch. It's going to be a definite outtake somewhere. But somebody's going to say that I was mean to the cat and I shouldn't be threatening the cat. But the cat was driving me nuts. It was in an Amazon box with crinkle paper. Let me just see if I can find that here. I can see the video clip here. So I stopped there. I think the threat is in 1513 clip. It just completely threw me off track that I had to restart all over. it's not that clip. She was in and out, I think 3 times just within like 10 minutes. It was just getting on my nerves. Yeah, I don't know where it is. Yeah. So anyway, so that's kind of what we have going on today. So our crochet cruises are still on for November. There's still space if you'd like to contact our agent for that with Crochet After Dark, if you are interested in something like that. The Nova Scotia trips are completely full. So Nova Scotia, yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, so anyway, so the Nova Scotia trip is on, and and it's completely full. We also have space on the crochet cruises as well for November if you're interested in that. Yeah. And thank you, Wendy. So that's kind of, yeah. So yeah, so we're doing that. So one of the excursions we're doing with the Nova Scotia trip is that Karen has rented a vessel for whale watching, but the vessel is just slightly smaller than what our bus holds. So then there's a Zodiac going out with our crew with the vessel. So Karen, that the crew will meet, is that she actually works for the Canadian Armed Forces. And anyway, she's in the naval division. And so she loves the boats and stuff. So she wants to ride the Zodiac going out. So the lightweight is hard to get. Do you think that prefers a lightweight yarn? Everything is always in trend net for the thickness of yarn. People like speed for yarn, so they like the thick yarns, but I'm not necessarily in that category. Yeah. So everything is always relative to the trend, I guess. So Adrian and Mary Grace or MG would like to be on the Zodiac. So it should be good. So I've already started paying for the trip with some of our suppliers for the trip. So the boy payment is due next week. So anyway, so we've been collecting ticket sales for that. And so anyway, so I'm paying all of that. So everybody, when they get there, their hotel room is already assigned and set up. And so we are paying for everything up front. So with the ticket sale money that's come in, so the big boy sale is the big boy. One of them is actually next week to pay for the bill. Yeah. I'm not. Oh, I don't think I've ever seen that word. Wendy wrote Gazoo type. I don't think I've seen that word ever being spelled. I didn't know what the hell she was saying. I think when Wendy actually was working in Germany, I think at one point. I think it was Wendy. No, maybe that was Sherry. I don't recall. So yeah. Yeah. Sorry, didn't mean to get on your nerves if it was me. I don't know what that means. So probably not you. So it was Wendy. You did live in Germany. That's right. It was you. So anyway, so that's kind of what's going on around here. What time is it? It's 11:19 in the morning here, my time zone. I'm in the Atlantic time zone, so it's an hour earlier than Eastern. Okay, so I think it's time for a break, and I'm just going to put this down, just check online, make sure everything's okay, and keep moving on. I think I still need a little bit more of this blanket before I can do the photography. And then I can edit that video and get that out as well to the membership today. There's just something else scheduled for the general public on on YouTube today. So I will get that out and get this video edited and put to the membership, and we'll see what else we can do. Okay, that's it, and we'll see you all again real soon.